If you really made it, you can buy a Mercedes S-Class. Others dream of an AMG model. Well, or you could just buy both in one vehicle. This is the new Mercedes S63 AMG. We'll tell you all about it with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here. We have two cars for you initially. This one here in Nautic Blue, chrome frames and so on, more the classic style. And behind it, we have the little bit more sinister styling, the darker styling in diamond white Magno matte white paint and with black accentuations, a night package plus a carbon package. We'll tell you all about it in detail and we'll drive it today here, of course, in the Los Angeles area. Remarkable here at the front, for the very first time, an S-Class gets a true AMG grille. You can here see it with the vertical fins and no standing Mercedes star on top, but the AMG badge. This vehicle here is equipped with the night package and on top of that the carbon fiber package. That means we have the carbon fiber insert here in the lower part and a rather darker frame around the grille. Turning indicators in the front, they replace the daytime running light in an elegant way. 5.34 meters or 210 inches is the length of this vehicle, and powertrain wise we have the V8, which is powering both axles actually, rear wheel bias, it's an all-wheel drive system, plus an electric motor that is just powering the rear axle. Soon more to that concept. Wheels, either 20-inch in Europe and optional 21-inch in the US. These 21-inch wheels are standard, of course different stylings, really massive. And then you can also get optionally these carbon ceramic brakes here with the bronze calipers, also very impressive element. The carbon fiber pack also adds more carbon fiber here to the side mirrors and also to the lower spoiler part. And you have this classic S-Class design style. Technology-wise, it also gets the rear axle steering as standard, together with the anti-roll control. The rear axle steering here, however, is a little bit limited. The standard S-Class, even the plug-in hybrid, would come to a maximum of 10 degrees steering in the opposite direction. Here it's just 3 degrees, and that is one disadvantage, that you have the rear electric motor here because it reduces the amount of space you can use, for example, also then for turning in the wheels at the rear axle. Towards the rear you can see the C-pillar is always the defining design element of an S-Class, and also that this part here is directly always up the middle part of the rear wheel. Very interesting, isn't it? More a round design at the rear, and the air suspension, by the way, is standard, and over a speed of 120 kilometers an hour or over 75 miles an hour, it lowers the vehicle automatically by about 10 millimeters. And the overall top speed is, with a special unlock, 290 kilometers an hour, that's 180 miles per hour. Turning indicators in the rear, this top part here with an element segmented view, that looks very modern. Here with the blue vehicle we can see how it looks like with the chrome frame around the front grille. I think this more elegant styling more fits to an S-Class, that's at least my take. What's yours? And I especially appreciate here these really polished wheels. Looks so cool, especially in contrast to the blue vehicle color. And the same counts here for the chrome frames. It just adds this extra piece of elegance to the vehicle. In the rear, biggest difference is once again exhaust here in the brighter styling without the special black accentuations, and also more chrome here. Under the hood we have, tada, the 4-liter V8 bi-turbo. Together with the electric drive, we have 800 horsepower of system output. The strongest S-Class ever. 3.3 seconds is the acceleration figure, 200 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And how do they achieve that? Well, the normal plug-in hybrid of the Mercedes S-Class has a battery capacity of around 29 kilowatt hours. This battery is a performance battery inspired by Formula One tech from their racing team. 13 kilowatt hours, so less than half the capacity size, and also less pure electric range. With a normal S-Class PF, I could score some 80 kilometers an hour, 80 or 90 kilometers pure electric range, some 50 miles. Here it will rather be some 20-30 kilometers max, so some 10-15 miles or something. Then again, you have better recuperation and a stronger horsepower output Yeah, this is pro and con of this system. On the passenger side here, you have the fuel fill. And on the driver's side, you have the AC plug, 3.7 kilowatt. Key fob with AMG badge. Flush door handles, you swipe them or open close with the key fob. They come towards you, but the haptic feedback they give you is kind of weirdo, I would say. So I'm not a big fan of that, and the aerodynamic advantage is also limited. Door closing sound is really cool actually, but for the S-Class, of course, there's then the option of the soft close like this. Inside of the doors, you have some nice carbon fiber decal element there, but then a lot of high-gloss black piano lacquer use. And this here is without any feedback for the seat controls, so a step backward in comparison to the previous S63, I think. Seats so far, animal skin only. They say they are developing alternatives, but of course that's too late. It should already be available. Seating position, of course, luxury sedan-alike. However, I think seat ergonomics-wise, Mercedes is at this moment not on top of its game. I like the grip here, the microfiber grip of the steering wheel, and here this AMG steering wheel is always sporty, not only visually, but also, you know, how you can grab it and so on. It just has the better size. This vehicle here is equipped with the panoramic roof, front and rear, it's split, and in the front you can actually also open it. And with 189 or 6'2", you still have some headroom here in the front. You can see it's not the tallest opening, but still a pretty cool option to have. Interior cockpit overview here with the vertical screen, and I think it's good that we don't have this EQ hyper screen here. I think this is a better solution because then you have more of this decor element, like here with carbon fiber, but also other ones are available, and you can always see the ambient lighting going around. Of course, you can change the colors of the ambient lighting, so many are available. Of course, even cooler in nighttime driving. On this AMG specific steering wheel, you have these controls here, for example, for the driving modes. EL would be the pure electric one, and then here when I switch to sport, you hear it, then the engine goes on, sport plus, then the exhaust note is more prominent. And on the left side, you control, for example, the suspension stiffness, or you can also tune the sound up and so on, so really flexible, and you can easily do that all while driving. And here in the instruments, you can switch from the classic view to the sport view, or also super sport. Yeah, it goes faster and faster up to track pace. And you can also get this head-up display. Infotainment system has this inbuilt GPS, is also decently responsive and quick. This is the main overview. The climate unit here, it's not too hard to control it. Yes, I do prefer real buttons and knobs and so on, but for a digital solution, you can live with it. Hey, and have you seen that? Here the climate changing ambient lighting function. That looks amazing, doesn't it? When you go warmer or colder. And that even runs through the rear doors. Wow, and that optional Burmester sound system here gives a really crisp sound indeed. Just remember, the Burmester sound systems always try to make the sound most authentic as possible as the original source. They don't deliver this bass intensive club sound. And you can see here, this is the Apple CarPlay integration, wireless or wired, and the same counts for the Android Auto. Middle console here in the front, cup holders, but they don't hold higher bottles tight enough. USB-C charger, inductive charger, and here the split armrest with more charging. Look at that, now it's time to check out the rear seating area. First of all, when I take a seat in the left part here, this is the seat as I would be driving. You can see here, this is of course the long wheelbase version, and then I have a lot of legroom left, although I'm driving in the front. Headroom, when I lean backward here, is also fine. And then you can get different setups here. This one is a 5-seater, and you can fold up this middle part here. Well, sitting in the middle part is not the focus, not too comfortable, but for short ways it would work. And then I switch over here. I took my shoes off before. Here we can fold down this then as a middle console. You have more space in here, inductive charging pad. You also have this separate screen you can take out, and then you can control here, for example, like the seating and massage functions and so on. But you can also control it here at the rear seat entertainment system. And I really like these buttons that control the rear shade, the upper shade, and also the shades for the side windows. So here you can lower or higher the window, And just pull it one more time and then the shade goes up, so easy solution. Second button I showed you underneath that is then for this top shade there. And this is just a shade, it's no opening whatsoever, but also very easy control. And the last button then there for this rear shade. And you can use these Mercedes headphones. They have actually very good passive noise cancelling, so I can't hear anything going outside around me anymore now. And if you press this magic button here, then you get this executive position here, the chauffeur mode or being chauffeured mode. I cannot stretch my legs entirely. That's however complaining on a very high level here with 189 or 62, but in the Audi A8L or in the BMW 7 Series, I can stretch my legs a little bit further. You can see the lower calf rest went up. That's really comfortable. Also the footrest and so on. And yeah, that's a very great and relaxing position. Then you can also activate the massage seats alongside. Yeah, that's pretty amazing, isn't it? By the way, if you wonder, can the driver still see the side mirror? Yeah, that's indeed a problem here. I recently talked to the chauffeur driver in the 7 Series, and he actually told me that there it was no problem because there the seat is a little bit smaller. The front seat is kind of like small, folds together a little bit better, and then you can basically still watch the side mirror, but here it's really a problem. Yeah, but in this case probably you say like, I don't care as an executive person in the rear, especially with these microfiber cushions here. Beautiful. Ooh, and here we go, automatic seatbelt reachers. And you can also get these inflatable seat belts. It's really cool. It looks and feels a little bit weird, but they are actually, in the case of a crash, they kind of blow up like a seatbelt airbag, and then they make the area bigger where the seatbelt hits the body, and therefore all the pressure is evenly distributed. That's actually a pretty cool safety idea. And you can get this small fridge here to store your precious bottles. In this case, only water because, hey, it's an S63. So at any time I want to be able to jump from the being chauffeured position to the driver's position, back again to floor it out myself. For such a large vehicle, 305 liters of trunk capacity is relatively small. However, it's longer than 1 meter or 40 inches that you can use, and there's no separate step in here. That's the same as the normal plug-in hybrid S-Class. Of course, it's not too wide. You can see here, this is in the back part, more like a little bit over 80 centimeters or 32 inches. This big piece there, by the way, you don't have to have it. This is actually the small fridge and you can just take it out. And here a second interior styling for you in brown. I think better than red, definitely, isn't it? And listen to this. Matte wood decor element. I think that's pretty beautiful, isn't it? Sport Plus, let's go. Holy moly. Whew. Well, that kind of was like a 0 to 50 miles an hour. And I mean, yeah, there was a situation where you say like, for safety reasons, I need to accelerate really hard to get on the road really quickly before the next traffic is coming up. And you see that was an acceleration basically in the corner, but it was very safely delivered, also due to that all-wheel drive system and so on. Pretty cool, right? So, and that easily you can reach the speed limit. In the Sport Plus mode, you hear more of that engine. Everything is pronounced from that engine sound as well. But you can also go back to the comfort mode. There's a little bit more silence. Also the air suspension rules a little bit softer. But I have to say, even in that Sport Plus mode, yes, when the air suspension goes a little bit stiffer, you feel you have more control of the whole vehicle. That anti-roll control also acts in a way that the car doesn't lean to the sides. But it still gives you the S-Class feeling, even though it is in the Sport Plus mode. Not that floaty ride, no. For that, you have to go then to the comfort mode. And that to me is also a crucial thing, that when you are in the comfort mode, it still feels more or less like a normal S-Class. And I think that's a good decision here, because when you think about like a C63 AMG, there the C63 feels way different than the normal C-Class. But here I think S-Class always has to feel like S-Class, but due to that wide span, you can make it a race machine then on hitting that knob. Of course, the big question is, as for the powertrain, How is the power delivery from that electric motor? Well, there is also this EL mode where you drive pure electrically, and you can also just accelerate by that and use the electric motor. That's possible, but as I said, driving it pure electric is not like the main focus of this vehicle. Oh, the cops are already waiting for me. They're probably Autogefühl fans watching us going by. Yeah, that's why you should keep the speed limit. It's not very easy with this vehicle here. It always tempts you to go even faster. But when you hit the accelerator pedal here with the electric motor, you feel you're getting pushed from the rear. It's actually a good feeling. And when you are in the normal driving modes or comfort mode, sport mode here, when both are combined, you hardly feel what is going on. The only thing you do slightly notice, and I felt the same with the AMG GT 4-door, where a similar system is being applied, especially also on the racetrack at that time, because the electric motor reacts so quickly, like here, you feel that in the first moment you have this push, pure electric, and then the combustion engine sets in. And is that a good feeling, or is that artificial? I think this leaves a lot of interpretation open, because you can say, hey, it's a special thing, it gives you this kind of technology feel of the vehicle, but if you want more this purest experience, then it is something that speaks against it. By the way, beautiful highway number 1 here, close to Malibu, and maybe when you know the area, you know that there are also some nice winding corners here. And here we go. There they are. It's lovely when you hear that V8 and going uphill. And this is also one of the cases where they designed the performance battery for, that you have the performance, the maximum performance at any time, even if you're going uphill, for example, for a longer period of time. But yeah, to be honest, I personally think the normal plug-in hybrid battery where you have higher electric range would have been fine as well. I mean, you have the 4-liter V8 bi-turbo here under the hood that gives you more than enough power, and a racetrack use, or like a Formula 1 like use, is not so realistic for this vehicle. This is what the vehicle is actually also for. Not only nice acceleration when you're cruising, or maybe some nighttime drive, maybe showing off a little bit, and but here that you can have this luxury sedan and at the same time have great agility. And the cool thing is, to me, the steering is a really nice combination also with the rear axle steering. It feels very light and sporty, although it is a super heavy vehicle. And one of the disadvantages of the battery, or this plug-in hybrid system in general, is that the car is heavier. But due to that anti-roll stabilization, the rear axle steering, the direct crisp steering input, and the great chassis and suspension work, they kind of even out this negative effect. At some point, of course, especially when you're going downhill or when you're really way fast in the corners, then you can't deny this effect. But as far as it is possible, it still feels great in driving. It's so much fun, actually. How is it for the passenger?
Really nice.
Really nice, yeah. Because I really like to ask the passengers, because sometimes they feel like, feel a little bit stressed on the body or something. But when the passengers are still relaxed, when it's sporty driving and they enjoy it as well, then you know that it's a great vehicle. And wow, I mean, you don't even feel the length or the long wheelbase of the vehicle. That is the cool thing. And this is really a big difference here when you are in that Sport Plus mode, S63 and normal S-Class. This is where the AMG version really shines. I told you earlier, when you're going straight and want to cruise again, go to the comfort mode, make it a normal S-Class, and then put in the Sports Plus mode, and it becomes something completely different. Do I really need the hybrid system for that? In my opinion, not. It feels great, it has great power, no doubt about that. And yes, you have an even more instant acceleration somewhat, but I would have been totally fine if they would have just left out this battery system, to be honest, So it has great performance, but it's not necessary really to achieve the great fun driving experience that you have just by the steering and the chassis and so on and so on. And in a way, it kills to me a little bit of this purist feeling, because I want to hear that V8 growling a little bit more, and I want basically to wait a little bit on it to react. Do you know what I mean? So I, in a way, would prefer it to be a little bit less performant, maybe on paper, but better performing, you know, from the gut feeling. Do you know what I mean by that? Yeah, but this aspect, on the one hand, on the other hand, on paper, of course, even more performance. That is what this E-Performance version of the S63 here now delivers. And we have a nighttime driving experience for you on special request, because I know you love that, to see a special luxury car, especially also with the ambient lighting. Here, by the way, the IWC watch or clock in the digital way. You can also start that as a stopwatch. That's very interesting, isn't it? Because there's no analog one left, they came up with the idea then to make it digital. You can set the ambient lighting, by the way, also on this adaptive mode, that it switches, you know, slightly, slowly from time to time. You can also deactivate it if it's just too much playing around for you. And you also have some more effects of the ambient lighting. Showed you that to you earlier, like here the climate control. That's always a funny thing. And for example, also there's an exit warning over the ambient lighting. For example, when you want to get out of the vehicle and there's someone next to you, the car is actually seeing that, then it also has this red flashing, for example. So let's go here, a little bit more of the city traffic, and I can be in the electric mode, for example, to have no emissions then locally. When you press this button, by the way, you can also set 3 different recuperation stages. And in this case then here, for example, strongest recuperation, when I go off the throttle, really reduces almost to a one pedal driving feeling. Or you can just set it to level 1 and then it's not too much, or level 0 even. Of course, you can always recuperate by pressing the brake pedal. That is also possible. Yeah, I mean, that is something that Mercedes has figured out very well, this nighttime driving with the ambient lighting and so on. Always pretty cool to do that. Let's see, make a left turn here. Yeah, so this makes it always an experience when you drive at night. Here you can see how it switches then a little bit around now in this purple style, and it can also wanders from left to right. It is not as extreme as in the all-electric vehicles, where you also have this a special energy mode where it reacts to the throttle and the brake. That's, I think, a little bit too much. Here, by that, I think still a nice compromise, I would say. Oh, here, the stopwatch just ran further. You can also reset it or pick different modes, like see the energy flow of the battery. Maybe a cool thing for the passenger to see. For the driver, yeah, I think you should just concentrate on the road. And now tune in to more S-Class content or our recent big comparison review, Mercedes S-Class versus BMW 7 Series.